Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, smash the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And today I'm excited because we've got the latest from our friends over at North Mountain Blade. And a huge shout out to them for being willing to send these my way. When I saw these first on Instagram, I knew I had to experience them because they look so beautiful. And I'm also a really big fan of what North Mountain Blade has been doing recently. I have checked out a number of their knives over the span of the last year, and I gotta say that they have emerged as one of those knife companies that I really like. And I'm gonna talk about exactly why. From the outset, you might be looking at these going, well, I mean, it looks like a couple of flipper-only knives. What's so special about these? Well, let me tell you that these knives are not something that I have seen anywhere else, and I'm welcoming everyone out there to challenge me if you would like, because they feature Sanmi Japanese made blades. That's right, I have confirmed with North Mountain Blades in the past, and they have told me the Sanmi SLD Magic blades are made by craftsmen in Japan. The handle scales might be made in China, but the blade, the soul of the knife, is made in Japan, and that's very appropriate given that these are Japanese style blades. That's something that North Mountain Blade has done a really good job of, has been really utilizing that design scenario and then modernizing it with a lot of things that we find here, especially from USA makers. And I really enjoy that. These are, in fact, a pair. You don't have to buy them as a pair. You can buy them individually. And if you decide to do that, they each cost $180. So what do you get for your hard-earned cheddar? It is a full-size knife on both the Zero and the Echo. The blades are 3.5 inches long a piece, and they are made of SLD Magic in the traditional Sanmi style. Now, I'm going to show you this. That is not a laser etching. The Sanmi style is when they take 3 layers of steel and they taco it around the hardened edge, and it gives you a lot of strength in the knife itself. And it utilizes a stronger steel and then a harder steel for the edge. And it comes out looking really good. A lot of people will look at that and be like, I saw that on Amazon for $50 and blah, blah. What you find going on the cheap on Amazon for $50 is just a laser etching with a polish on the edge. These are actually made in the traditional Japanese Sanmi style. And I think that that is ultimately really cool and something that we do not see nearly enough. Now, both of these knives feature titanium handle scales with an elite level of chamfering on the edges. I'm going to call that crowned edges. Yeah, they're very comfortable because the edge just kind of rolls over and crowns over in a very nice and brutally elegant manner, and I'm a huge fan of that. But one of the things that stands out the most is the action. The action on these knives is bar none the best action that I have felt on any knife from North Mountain Blade, and that includes the kickstop chop, which I absolutely love. I've had these now in my possession for about a week, and I can't get over how ridiculously smooth that action really is. It's so good. It's hydraulic, and then it reaches this event horizon, and it just falls the rest of the way. It's so good. On the Echo, it's a little bit of a more controlled drop, and on the Zero, it's more of a guillotine, but they're both incredibly smooth, and that is thanks to the fact that we have both ceramic bearings and a ceramic detent ball on these blades. There's nothing gritty about it whatsoever, and the deployment is really good. I always say it, if you're going to have one deployment option and one option only, it's got to be the showstopper. And I got to say, in this case, it absolutely is. Can I fail it? No, that is really good. What about here on the Echo? Can I fail it? No, they figured it out. They figured out the best way to get the perfect flipper action. And whether you go slow on that flipper tab, or, you know, whether you push button it like a boss, just It's really good, and it's all the fidget you need. I know some people are going to look at this specific Echo and say, that's cool story, bro, but I don't like speed holes because blah, blah, blah. Listen, I do believe that the speed hole version is actually sold out. They do have the plain scale version as well. So if you're not a fan of, these aspirations in the handle scales, I get it. Personal preference is what personal preference is. The funny thing is that when people dislike speed holes, they really dislike it. There are no fence sitters. Either you're okay with this design preference or you absolutely hate it with every fiber of your being. And I'm sure that somebody is going to let me know about it in the comment section. In fact, while you're down there, tell me what your favorite milling style on handle scales is, or if you prefer just a regular plain Jane style handle scale. In this case, I could take it or leave it on the speed holes, but I do actually like that it adds some extra flair to these. I am preferential to frag pattern milling on handle scales because it adds a nice amount of grip and it breaks up a blank slate like what we see here on the North Mountain Blade Zero. In this case, I'm not mad at the speed holes. Again, I could take it or leave it. I don't have a preference either way. I do think that it's rather cool that you can see the blade through those holes, and it's nice, especially considering that neither of these have any regular internal milling on these slab style scales. Specifically on this one, it's going to reduce the weight. By how much? I believe it takes it down from about 3.9 down to about 3.2 ounces. So it's not an insignificant amount, especially for those of you out there who really care about the weight of your knives, these being full titanium handle scale frame lock knives. I mean, you might actually like that. And maybe that's why this variant is sold out. Checking out the lockup on both of these, they are consistent. The lockup on these lock bars is consistent. I want to say that that's right around the 30% mark, and the quality of life is going to be there. On a knife that costs over $100, I expect it to have good lockup and good lockout. I expect it to have good blade centering, and all of the regular quality of life things need to be there. Is there any pivot lash or detent lash? No. No, that's very, very solid. The level of craftsmanship here is outstanding. Now, $180 gets you titanium and SLD Magic. And if you're thinking, oh man, I just wish that it was just a little bit cheaper, the good news is that you can use my discount code. It's not an affiliate code, so I don't make any money when you use this code. It just tells North Mountain Blade that you watch my channel. But if you use the code RSB10, you can take 10% off your order. So if you were to buy both of these as a matched pair, which is kind of what they're going for here, that would cost you $360. Take off 10% means that you would save close to $40 on the purchase. If you just buy one, it would bring the price down $18 to about $162. And $162 for these knives is incredibly good. I would say that that is an insanely good value, especially when you consider that the highest cost when we're talking about pricing out something like a knife like this is going to be in the craftsmanship. They told me that the SLD Magic Sanmi blades are crafted by craftsmen in Japan. The handle scales might be made in China, but the blades are made in Japan. I had a guy in one of my North Mountain Blades videos question that, be like, oh, you just mean that the SLD Magic steel comes from Hitachi in Japan. No, they told me point blank their SLD Magic Sanmi blades are made in Japan. And so I take that at face value. I think that that's incredible. The fact that we get even part of the knife made in a country that we don't see a whole lot of knives from anymore these days, or at least commonly in the market, I think is really cool. And the execution came through in spades. Check this out. This is a modernized version of a classic Japanese tanto. The Japanese tanto has a really good ability of staying thick all the way to the tip of the knife. And that means that when you go to jab it into something, it's going to maintain its strength throughout. And then they added a swedge, a nice aggressive swedge towards the tip, and that's going to add some extra cutting relief to the geometry of the blade and allow it to slip through materials better. It's beautiful. This has got to be easily one of the best looking tanto blades that I've seen in recent history. How's the ergos? Ergos are solid. thanks to these crowned and chamfered edges on these titanium scales. They both feel really good. Neither one of them are meant for a full choke up. That has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, we've got this modest flipper tab there, but they did a really good job. Something that I couldn't help but notice was the lanyard post. I'm going to call it a lanyard post. This is the same kind of design feature we see from Chris Reeve knives. In fact, when I saw that, I was like, Chris Reeve knives. Sebenza lanyard post. I'm not a big fan of, you know, putting lanyards on knives, but the moment I saw that, I recognized it for what it was, and that is a modern influence from USA knife maker Chris Reeve, or at least that's my best guess. I know they're not the only one to utilize a lanyard post like this, but it is kind of cool to see. Unlike the Chris Reeve knives, when you shake it, you don't hear the rattle. My Umnum's on with the same kind of post. You shake it, you hear the post rattle. A lot of people remove it for that reason, but in this case, it's really nicely flush fit in there. And I think that it's outstanding. Very, very cool. The cutting geometry on here is good. North Mountain Blade does a great job with their factory edges. And I haven't even said anything about the 3D milled titanium pocket clip, which is blind screwed. That's a really, really nice feature on both of these. Now I'm going to flip these over because there is one thing and one thing only that I am not a big fan of on these knives, and that is the excessive billboarding. And let me show you what I'm talking about. We have beautiful, simplistic designs, and then we've got the logo here, here, and here. So the logo is represented in 3 places. In my opinion, that is at the very least one place too many. And if I could remove it from one spot, I would probably remove it from the pocket clip. That is the only thing that I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm curious now, what do you think of the unmatched pair of the Echo and Zero from North Mountain Blade? Are these knives that you would consider for your collection? Would you buy both of them, or is just one of them calling your name, or would it be a pass for you entirely? Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. And if you haven't done so yet and you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. If you want to watch some more awesome knife and EDC content, feel free to click on one of the videos that pops up next.